There once was a landowner. We might call him a farmer, who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. About 6 o'clock in the morning, he contracted with a group of workers for a denarius, which means a day's wage. And then at 9 o'clock in the morning, he hires some more. And then again at noon, and 3, and 5. And when evening comes, then the landowner instructs the manager to pay the workers, beginning with the last hired. And the manager gives the last the usual daily wage. And then the manager gives all the workers the usual daily wage. Well, you can imagine that those who were hired first believed that because they were hired first, they would receive more pay. And yet, all were paid the same amount. And the landowner very caringly says to each of them, "Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree to work for the usual daily wage? Take what belongs to you. I choose to give the last, the same as I give to you." So here we have a kind-spirited landowner who welcomes persons to work with him and for him throughout the day. And when he goes back to the gathering area, whether it's the marketplace or the town square or wherever he might have been, he sees that there are more people standing idle. And the word standing idle in this story doesn't mean that they're wasting time or that they're just milling around, but rather it means that they are without work. They want work, but they're not able to find it. Or maybe it was the case that they had already worked one job and now they're available at this time. Or maybe they had other life circumstances. Maybe they were sons or daughters caring for aging parents, or parents taking care of children. Maybe they had come from neighboring villages where employment was lacking. Whatever the circumstance may have been, the landowner sees them, reaches out to them, and employs everyone he can find, and none are left out. They all work together in the same vineyard. Those who were hired first worked right alongside with those who came at 5 o'clock. And so the landowner employs all the people that he can find, and he promises them the same thing. He gives them what is right and just and fair and proper. He has promised each of them the daily usual wage. And he gives generously to each of them and all of them. Well, for lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of years, the landowner in this parable of Jesus has been viewed as a symbol for God, the one who gives extraordinary forgiveness and grace to all people. In terms of our work language today that we're accustomed to, we might say that God in this story is an equal opportunity employer. He is a proponent of affirmative action. It is a gracious God who welcomes the newcomers into the group. So however you imagine God, whatever you think about with God, whether you see God as an equal opportunity employer or a loving parent or a guide for life, we are reminded through Jesus' story today that God gives full benefits to all. Now, it's pretty easy for us to fall into that dangerous place like those who began working first. The ones who started at 6 o'clock in the morning, who thought that they were somehow special, somehow privileged, somehow they were earning their way more into the kingdom of God. But think about what happens in the story, and we suddenly realize that God's grace is not earned. It has no limits. There is no preferential treatment. The love of God is for all, for everyone. And that is very good news for us. Now here's another thought about this story. The landowner need not only be a reference for God. What if the landowner is also a reminder that what God does is what those who claim to follow God are called to do? Perhaps the landowner is also a model for us. What do we learn about us in this story? We learn about God. We learn that God is generous and that we receive God's grace, everyone and always. It seems to me that one of the outcomes of this grace is that all of the landowners, employees, if you will, worked together. No matter who they are, no matter what time they arrived, no matter how many there were, no matter even where they came from, they all joined together in a common task. And my guess is that the job was much easier and much more effective with everyone working together. For them, the bottom line is the harvest, not the individuals. By working together, they expanded the kingdom of God. And the point is so obviously said to us, not that those who have more get more, not that those who work harder get more. We do not work in the kingdom of God for more reward, but for the benefit of all. This story, this experience of these workers together, encourages us to support all people. You never know who might join you in the vineyard. The landowner seeks out the people, but the people who are all working there don't have any idea who all may be coming. And more than just aiding those who might come to him, he seeks out those who are perhaps in need, those who are not working, those that he may reach out to, and those who are new, perhaps those who have never ever met this landowner and all these workers before. It's kind of like when we're in church together and we're just talking church, and we start talking about old comers and newcomers. You've heard people in churches say that you're not really a native until you have a grandparent in the town cemetery. Right? I talked to someone this week and she said, I haven't been, not our church, but in a different church. She said, I haven't been in this church very long. I said, how long have you been in the church? She said, 18 years. She said, but I'm still a newcomer. Yeah. Well, today, through this parable of Jesus, we're reminded that it's not true in the kingdom of God. The newest member, the newest participant in the church is just as privileged as the longest member, or those who've been here long enough to have a grandparent in the cemetery. Everyone receives God's love and grace. and God seeks out everyone. So the point of all this becomes very practical to us as we seek to live our mission as the church together, our mission that we say together every Sunday. Our mission means for us that it is more than just aiding people at the doorstep. We also go and seek out those who are in need, those who are looking for the love and grace of God. It's more than just waiting for people to walk into our church doors and hope that they might find a comfortable place to sit. Rather, we extend the welcome mat of our outreach. We are challenged in this way because we all know how easy it is to get comfortable, and comfort is good, but sometimes we forget that extending that arm of outreach is who God calls us to be. And so we get challenged to ask ourselves when we may have missed an opportunity to welcome a newcomer on Sunday morning or at Wednesday meal or at the garage sale or wherever our church is in action. And we are encouraged to live out our discipleship as we reach out to others. You know, in this story that Jesus told, the landowner and the workers need each other. The work of some benefits the lives of others. They work together. They're in this together. And in the end, what happens? They all have enough to eat. They all receive the same care and attention. We might say they all receive the spiritual food that nourishes them in heart and soul. And they all receive the love and grace of God that is given unconditionally, no strings attached. And so it is for us. When we work together, all things are possible. We grow the kingdom right here through our work, our hands, our love, our spirits. We grow the kingdom when we do things like offer an after-school program that welcomes children in community, in a spirit of love and care. We grow the kingdom when we have our members of our adult Sunday school class share their faith stories with newcomers to the church or with young people in the church. We grow the church when we take the church outside the building. And that's through each of us. For the church is not just this rectangle. The church is us. And each and every one of us take the love and grace of God with us when we go from this place. With each person we meet, with each family member we are privileged to be with everyone who crosses our path. And so we learn. We learn what it means to act as God acts, with generosity to all. And that's what parables are supposed to do. Thanks be to God. Amen. Let us reflect on our working together.